Considered one of the most successful US defence secretaries of the past 40 years, Robert Gates leaves the Pentagon next month to be replaced by the head of the CIA, Leon Panetta. But with the military facing some of its toughest budget decisions, Robert Gates says the US must face the consequences of what severe funding cuts would mean. A smaller military that could limit America's role in the world. North America correspondent Lisa Miller.
A veteran of the war in Iraq, A.M. Paulos has served under 3 defence secretaries. But right now he's more concerned with Memorial Day plans than the departure of arguably the most influential one.
If no radical changes are being implemented, if the machine remains well-oiled, it doesn't come to the forefront of one's mind.
And Robert Gates' retirement doesn't change the sense of loyalty felt by young Marines like John Hills.
We have a heart that is just different. I'd give my life for my country. I'd gladly do it.
The 23-year-old never met Robert Gates, but the Defence Secretary has credited men like him for convincing him to stay in the job.
I want to thank President Bush for first asking me to take this position, and you, Mr. President, for inviting me to stay on and on and on.
Good morning. Just had breakfast with...
Robert Gates became the first Defence Secretary in US history to serve 2 presidents from different political parties.
He and Obama got along terrifically. They're both really of a very similar bent, very pragmatic, non-ideological, problem-solving. I think he stuck around longer than he thought he was going to.
As diplomatic as he is direct, he's respected for successfully overseeing 2 wars and improving a fractious environment at the Pentagon.
He's probably been the most significant Secretary of Defense in 40 years or so in terms of someone who has changed the culture of the Pentagon, had a real impact on weapons procurement, and on just the way the Pentagon does business.
But Robert Gates made it clear he'd be gone before the end of Obama's first term. And now, after 30 years in public service, including a stint as head of the CIA, the 67-year-old is on his farewell tour.
I know that after a decade of conflict, the American people are tired of war. But there is no doubt in my mind that the continued strength and global reach of the American military will remain the greatest deterrent against aggression and the most effective means of preserving peace in the 21st century as it was in the 20th.
But that military is being squeezed. It consumed almost 20% of last year's federal budget, and the President has ordered massive cuts, $400 billion within 12 years.
Meeting this savings target will require real cuts, given the escalating costs of so many parts of the defense budget. And as a result, real choices.
Robert Gates has been critical before of the Pentagon's spending binges in a post-September 11 no questions asked era. But as he delivered his last policy speech to a conservative think tank audience, he issued a warning about what severe cuts would mean.
However, we need to be honest with the President, with the Congress, with the American people, and indeed ourselves, about what those consequences are. That a smaller military, no matter how superb, will be able to go fewer places and be able to do fewer things.
He argued some programs were absolutely critical, like the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter that Australia's military is also counting on.
There is a limit to how much he's willing to cut, and I think he's basically reached that limit.
Robert Gates' departure also signals the end of one of the most formidable partnerships in the Obama administration. He has a close relationship with the Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. The two try to meet often, and the advice and guidance they've offered this president has been invaluable. Veterans like Bob Smith are also convinced Robert Gates will be missed when he walks out of the Pentagon for the last time next month.
I think he's had the handicap of taking on 2 unpopular wars that have been costing tremendous amounts of money, and he's had to scale back the effort with limited funds and still fight these wars. And I think when they look at what he's been able to accomplish, they'll say he's done a very credible job.
As the military faces harsh budget realities, that's a legacy he'll be happy to leave. Lisa Miller, Lateline.